The most peaceful people you've ever met, they have one thing in common. They've stopped letting other people live in their heads for free. The Buddha once said, "Do not look at the faults of others, look at your own faults." In a world that constantly pulls our attention outward, this is a radical invitation to turn inward, to reclaim our focus, and to live from a place of true freedom. When we obsess over other people's actions, opinions, or approval, we give away our power. We let their storms shake our inner sky, and without realizing it, our minds become crowded with noise that doesn't even belong to us. Today, we'll explore 7 Buddhist lessons that will help you stop thinking about others and start focusing on your own life. These aren't abstract theories. They're living practices you can apply every day to protect your peace, grow your inner strength, and walk your unique path with clarity. Instead of comparing your journey to someone else's, imagine what it would feel like to truly live in your own lane, to wake up in the morning already anchored in your own mind, unmoved by other people's chaos. That's the gift these lessons can give you. And by the end of this video, you might see that your greatest power is not in controlling the world around you, but in mastering the world within. So let's begin, not by looking out there, but by turning our gaze inward, where the real work and the real peace begins. In this journey toward inner peace, we arrive at the first lesson in today's video. Stop comparing, start growing. In Buddhism, comparison is not just a harmless habit, it's considered one of the roots of suffering. When we measure our lives against others, we plant the seeds of envy, inadequacy, and restlessness within ourselves. The Buddha once said, "There is no greater illusion than believing someone else's path is easier, or that your life is worse than theirs." This isn't just a poetic truth. It's a reality we see every day. Think about it. In a world flooded with carefully curated images and stories, it's easier than ever to believe that everyone else is doing better, happier, or more successful than we are. But those are just snapshots, not the whole story. Comparison quietly steals from us. It takes our energy away from what matters, our own growth, and spends it on chasing shadows. Every moment we spend measuring ourselves against others is a moment we could have spent planting, watering, and nurturing the seeds of our own potential. Instead of comparing, Buddhism invites us to turn inward and walk our own unique path. No two lives are alike. No two sets of lessons are the same. What you are facing now, whether it's a challenge, a setback, or a breakthrough, is yours for a reason. The more you stay rooted in your journey, the more you'll see how far you've truly come. Let me give you a different image this time, one from the mountains. Imagine 2 hikers starting at different points on opposite sides of a vast mountain. One sees the sunrise first, the other sees the sunset. Each might be tempted to think the other's view is better, but the truth is, both experiences are equally valuable. The mountain is the same, the journey is just different. You don't need to trade your trail for someone else's to find beauty. You only need to keep walking yours with intention. Here's the truth most people overlook. Small, consistent growth is more powerful than the illusion of sudden transformation. Every step forward, no matter how small, builds strength and shapes your character. That one extra minute of meditation, that single act of kindness, that choice to forgive instead of resent. These may not look impressive from the outside, but they are silent victories that change your life from the inside out. And when you start to see your life through this lens, something beautiful happens. You begin to celebrate progress instead of perfection. You realize that your journey is not a race, but a deep, unfolding story, and you are its author. So as we begin this first lesson, I want you to ask yourself, where am I still comparing my life to someone else's? And what would happen if I put that energy back into my own growth? If you can answer that honestly and act on it, you'll already be walking the path toward a life with more peace, clarity, and self-respect. A life where your worth is no longer borrowed from someone else's reflection. When you've stopped comparing and started growing at your own pace, a new door opens. But behind that door lies another challenge. How will you steer the direction of your mind? This is lesson 2 in today's journey. Master your mind, master your life. The Buddha once said, "All that we are is the result of what we have thought." This simple yet powerful truth reminds us that your inner world shapes how you experience the outer world. If your inner space is filled with insecurity, comparison, and judgment, The world outside will appear full of conflict and dissatisfaction. But if your inner space is clear, peaceful, and kind, the world will reflect that back to you. The problem is, most of us spend far too much time thinking about other people, what they say, what they do, what they might think about us. Every time we do this, we're unconsciously handing over the steering wheel of our mind to someone else. And instead of investing that precious energy into cultivating wisdom, compassion, and growth, we waste it on things we cannot control. Here's a simple practice. Every morning, as soon as you wake up, ask yourself, what am I thinking about today? If the answer revolves around someone else, how they're better, what they think of you, gently bring your attention back to yourself. Replace those thoughts with, what can I do today to become a better version of myself? A Zen metaphor says the mind is like a garden. If you don't consciously choose the seeds to plant, the wind will carry in weeds. Before long, the weeds of negativity will take over. What you think about each day is the seed you plant. Plant peace, and you will harvest peace. When you truly master your mind, you'll see that your happiness and peace no longer depend on anyone's approval or opinion. You'll feel lighter, less tangled in comparison or judgment. And from that space, you can live a life where you are the driver, not the passenger. After learning to master your own mind in the previous lesson, there's a natural next step, protecting that mind from the noise that tries to invade it. And that brings us to our next lesson, choosing silence in the midst of noise. In a world overflowing with gossip, drama, and constant chatter, this choice isn't about avoiding life, it's about protecting your peace. Gossip and drama might seem harmless or even entertaining at first, but they are like drops of poison that slowly cloud the clarity of your mind. Buddhist wisdom teaches us to speak only what is true, kind, and beneficial, and sometimes the wisest thing we can do is remain silent. Think of your mind as a still lake. Each piece of drama is a stone thrown into its waters, disturbing the calm and blurring the reflection. Recall a time you got pulled into heated conversations or endless speculation about others. Did it bring you closer to peace or leave you drained and restless? Every moment spent in such noise is a trade, your inner stillness for a brief spark of distraction. The practice is simple yet powerful. Pause and ask yourself, will this conversation help me grow or feed the chaos? More often than not, the answer is clear. Choosing to step back is not weakness. It's wisdom in action. Silence becomes your shield. By stepping away from unnecessary noise, you protect your mind like a gardener, shielding young plants from harsh winds. Instead of letting drama take root, plant seeds of stillness through meditation, mindful walks in nature, or immersing yourself in timeless wisdom. When you choose silence in the midst of noise, something beautiful happens. The world feels quieter, not because it changed, but because you did. Leaving behind the noise of gossip and drama naturally leads us to a deeper question. What truly holds the power over our peace? Often, it's not the chaos around us, but the invisible strings of needing approval from others. This is where we arrive at living free without anyone's approval. The Buddha once said, better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that brings peace. In today's world, it's easy to shape our lives around likes, praise, or validation from others. We measure our worth through their eyes, forgetting that no amount of applause can fill the emptiness of self-doubt. True peace begins the moment you decide that your value isn't up for debate. Not from society, not from friends, not even from those you love. Imagine living each day knowing that who you are, as you are, is already enough. That your worth is not a question to be answered by someone else's opinion. Practice this. Each morning, pause for a breath and tell yourself, I accept who I am. I am complete as I am. Let these words sink beyond the mind, into the heart. Over time, you'll feel a quiet strength growing, the kind that no criticism can shake and no compliment can inflate. When you no longer depend on others to tell you you're worthy, you become untouchable in the best way. You move through life lighter, freer, and truer to yourself. And in that freedom, you'll discover a peace that no one can give you, and no one can take away. Leaving behind the need for approval leads us to an even deeper realization. Nothing lasts forever. This is where we arrive at embracing the flow, living with impermanence. The Buddha taught all conditioned things are impermanent. Every thought, every emotion, every situation, no matter how intense in the moment, will eventually fade. The harsh words someone spoke, the judgment they passed, the chaos of today's problem, in time they will pass like clouds drifting across the sky. When we forget this truth, we cling to moments, whether they're good or bad, and suffer when they change. But life is like a river. It keeps flowing and no drop of water ever stays in the same place. The opinions of others are just ripples on the surface. They do not define the depth of who you are. Instead of chasing or resisting what is temporary, focus on what endures. The clarity of your mind, the peace in your heart, and the growth of your spirit. Imagine planting a tree in your inner garden. Storms may shake its branches, but its roots remain deep and unshaken. A simple mantra can help anchor you. This too shall pass. Whisper it to yourself in moments of stress or doubt, and feel the tightness in your chest begin to loosen. You start to see that every ending is simply the beginning of something else. When you live with the awareness of impermanence, you stop wasting your energy holding on to the past or fearing the future. You walk lighter, love more freely, and meet each day not with control, but with acceptance. And in that acceptance, you find a freedom that lasts far longer than anything else. When we truly understand impermanence, we begin to see that clinging to other people's opinions or actions is unnecessary. They too will pass. Yet while everything is temporary, our compassion can remain constant. And that brings us to today's next lesson. Compassion with a shield. Loving without losing yourself. As we embrace impermanence, we naturally open our hearts to compassion. But here's the truth. Compassion does not mean letting others' negativity seep into your soul. The Buddha taught loving kindness, metta, for all beings, but he also lived with wisdom. And wisdom knows that love without boundaries is like water without a riverbank. It spills everywhere and loses its strength. True compassion is not about saying yes to everything or allowing harmful patterns to continue. It's about sending warmth, empathy, and understanding, while also protecting your own peace. Imagine a golden light surrounding you, a gentle yet unbreakable shield. It allows love to flow out, but keeps toxic energy from coming in. Boundaries are not walls. They are sacred lines that preserve the clarity of your mind and the health of your spirit. Without them, you risk being drained, resentful, or even losing touch with your own needs. With them, you can love more purely because your love is no longer mixed with fear or exhaustion. Here's a practice. When you encounter someone who triggers negativity or drains your energy, silently wish them well. May you be free from suffering, and then step back. Give them space to walk their path, while you continue to walk yours. In the end, compassion with boundaries is an act of love for both yourself and others. You are saying, I care for you, but I will not harm myself to care for you. And when you live like this, your heart stays open, your mind stays clear, and your life stays in balance. Love flowing freely, but never at the cost of your own peace. After learning to protect our peace, the final step is to live fully in the present moment. Every moment you experience is one of a kind. Once it passes, it will never return. Recognizing this truth changes the way you live. When you see each moment as a gift, you naturally want to be fully present, not lost in regrets about the past or worries about the future. Practice mindfulness in your everyday activities. When you eat, taste each bite as if it's the first time. When you walk, feel the ground beneath your feet. When you work, give your full attention to what's in front of you. Life doesn't only happen in grand events. It lives in these small, ordinary moments, if you choose to notice them. Let go of multitasking. Do one thing at a time. It's not just about efficiency. It's about honoring the experience you're having right now. When your mind isn't scattered, your heart feels lighter and your awareness deepens. Accept what is happening in this moment, even if it's uncomfortable. Fighting reality only creates tension, while acceptance opens the door to peace. This doesn't mean you have to like every situation, but meeting it with openness allows you to respond with clarity instead of resistance. And every day, find at least one thing to be grateful for. It could be a smile from a stranger, the warmth of sunlight, or a quiet moment of rest. Gratitude turns the present into something sacred, not just a stepping stone to the future, but a place worthy of living in fully, right here and right now. In the end, peace begins the moment you stop giving your mind away to the thoughts and opinions of others. Every time you turn your attention outward, comparing, judging, or trying to meet someone else's expectations, you abandon the only place where true happiness can grow, within yourself. The Buddha's wisdom reminds us that life becomes lighter when we release the weight of other people's stories and return to our own path. Focus on the steps you can take today, however small, to nourish your mind, strengthen your spirit, and align with your own truth. If you take just one lesson from this video, let it be this. Your greatest responsibility is not to manage the world, but to care for your own heart. So choose a lesson, practice it daily, and watch how the noise fades and your inner clarity rises. Leave a comment below sharing which lesson you'll begin with today, and join me in the next video as we continue this journey toward a calmer, freer mind.